Hey guys, welcome to RC Video Reviews. I decided I got to do some work on the Mr. Croc to get it ready to fly, and I thought, there's a procedure that I go through at this point. I put a number of these together by now, and I thought maybe I would just pop a live stream up and walk through it with you guys. So in case you've never seen how this process works out of the box, you could get an idea of what's involved. And I'll be, obviously this isn't a build. We're not starting from scratch. This is a bind and fly. So this is the Mr. Flywood Mr. Croc bind and fly. And yeah, this is just kind of a workshop session. So I'm trying not to be, not huge on the production effort, but I've got lights and audio and all that stuff, but it's going to be a production thing. So it could be, things hopefully will go smoothly, but there might be some bumps along the way, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll just say hello to everybody. Angry Pepper, how you doing? KSped1, I'm wanting to see how to build an FPV quad. I've only built big ones using Pix, Hawks, and Mission Planner. Yeah. Well, I didn't do the wiring. This one came together, but we're skipping over that and not doing the frame and the wiring. But this is kind of like finishing it off. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish today. My objective today is to get everything ready to fly. Get it in that state where it's ready to fly. And then, so Pete Buttons, how you doing? David, busy week. Yeah, man. It has been a busy week for sure, man. Bill, how you doing? Kay Anthony, hello from Great Britain. Awesome. I love it when our international friends chime in. I think it's really cool that we have a platform where we can all get together no matter where we are. I think that's very cool. 8Speed, hello. Hello. All right, so let's get started. So goals today, number one, we have to do the Crossfire. So I've got a Crossfire ready to go. I've done a little bit of groundwork for you guys because it's boring seeing an antenna get stuffed in, I did some of that already, but no real work. So we're going to get the Crossfire set up and running. We'll bind it to OpenTx so you can see, where we go from the box to OpenTx. And then after that, I'll show you the OpenTx configuration. And if you look in the description, you will see that I've got links to my server, rcvideoreviews.com, where I have my OpenTx configuration and what I call my Betaflight common configuration. And I also included a link to my Betaflight analog OSD common configuration. Now, this is not an analog build, so I won't be using that today, but it is referenced in my OpenTx configuration, so I thought I would give you everything. So if you have an analog design and you want to use my configuration stuff, it'll be there for you, okay? Jason says, I've been flying the squad for about a month now, around 8 4S pack. Seems to fly well, but I feel it could fly better if I was decent at tuning after my first outing updated to Betaflight 4.8. Yeah, keeping the software up to date definitely has its advantages, as 8Speed discovered today. So we got stuck trying to bind, but he did a software upgrade, and guess what? He got it working. Hobie, you're not too late, man. A little bit, maybe a minute or two. So anyway, let's get started. I will try and just, I'm going to go ahead and take the chat out of the way. So I won't have the chat in the window for most of it, but if there's anything interesting, I'll pop it up and we'll talk about it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start by getting the Crossfire configured, but I'm going to show you guys something really cool. I will try and find the guy's name. I didn't have time to do it while I was setting up for the video, but I want to show you one really cool trick that I picked up. And this was thanks to one of the viewers of the channel. He left this little comment. And he suggested here's how he handles his antennas. And I think we were talking about it on a live stream. So one of the issues with the Crossfire antenna is that it's real easy if you do maneuvers for this thing to get up maybe into the prop wash. And I've actually done it on my Croc baby. I crashed and my Immortal T got up into the prop wash and it took the cap off and cut the wire a little bit. And what the guy said to do, he said, what I like to do is take some heat shrink and put it under a motor mount and just heat shrink it over my my Immortal antenna. And I thought, man, that is just absolutely a genius idea because it's virtually no weight. There's no weight added, and it's very simple to do. I mean, who doesn't have heat shrink, right? So I set this one up. I've got this one on there, and I'll point out too that if you're mental like I am, put your numbers on your heat shrink on the bottom. I didn't want to see it on the top, so I made sure that when I put my hole in my heat shrink that the numbers are on the bottom because I don't want to see it. And then after that, I'm just going to heat shrink it. And the cool part is this can easily be undone too. You just take a motor screw out and you undo it. So I just thought this was really a genius idea to help keep your Immortal T antenna out of the prop wash, and that's it. So just a quick little heat shrink on there, and look at that, perfect. Now it's not going to go anywhere, it won't pull up into your prop wash. I thought that was really cool. So I've got to do that on the other side, and what I did is I just kind of left this one out so you could see it. And I'll tell you that on the Flywood for records, for the record, they did have Loctite on the screws on the motors. This was actually a little bit of a challenge to get out. And all I did for the hole, by the way, in case you're wondering, is I just took a Sharpie or sharp number 11 and just kind of stuck it in there and gave it a little twist. And then I used the driver and just kind of screwed it through the hole. That's all I did. It worked just fine. And now the last thing I'll do is put some Loctite on there. I definitely want some Loctite on there. So a little dab of Loctite, then we'll just flip it over, and I'll put this one right back where I found it. And again, I really wish I could have found the gentleman's name that gave me this tip, but I thought it was excellent. So there we go. We'll just screw that back in. And I don't mind if it deforms the heat shrink a little bit. The other thing I'll tell you is kind of push it back away from the direction of rotation so that as it starts to compress on the frame, it doesn't want to go all the way that way, because I don't want to create a bend in the antenna either. That's not great. So there we go. I think that's good. And then same deal, just pop the antenna in there. I don't know about you guys, but I just thought that was a genius idea. I loved it. I love simple stuff like that. I love simple stuff like this. And then again, just a little bit of heat shrink. You know, just hit it with the heat gun a little bit and spread it around. Don't have to go too crazy with it. There you go. So again, I thought that was a really clever solution to that problem, because I've actually done that. I've actually had it happen. I still didn't get it lined up the way I want it to. Okay, that'll have to do for now. Anyway, there you go. Problem solved on the antennas. Real simple one. I wanted to share that because I thought that was very cool. Okay, next up, I'm going to give you guys another little tip on the Crossfire, and I actually picked this up. So, you know, I don't know what it is, but when I first started putting these Crossfires together, I always had it in my mind that the antenna went in one side of the heat shrink and then the wires went in the other. And I actually looked at one of my builds, and they were very clever about it because they had the heat shrink come in on the same end on the receiver. So the antenna wire, and what I want to show you guys is before you do the work, right, before you solder and put your stuff on, think about how you want your wires arranged. So here's what I'm going to do. The way I'm going to lay mine out is just like this. So my wires are going to get soldered here. My antenna will come in from this end, and then the heat shrink will go in from this end. So, and that works really well because it gives the antenna coming off the back a little bit of an arc. You definitely don't want this ever to be 90 degrees, right? So a little bit of an arc there. And then of course we have way more wire than we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the wire off and shorten it, because this is way too much. I don't want that flopping around inside the quad. Makes it a little harder, of course, to work with when you're putting it together, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that. This is the harness that they gave me, and I'm going to save the label because we will need that in just a moment. And while we're on the subject, I'm going to give you one other little pro tip on Crossfire. If you have a hard time remembering, it's always ground on the newer Crossfire Nanos. It's ground on the bottom, then 5-volt, and then it's an alphabetical order, RX, TX. So RX, TX. Now what that means is that we'll cross these. So it says white is TX2 on the flight controller. So that one goes on RX on the Crossfire. I think. Half the time I get it wrong, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that it's ground has got the weird shape on the bottom. And then so you go ground, positive, and then alphabetical order RX, TX. Okay? And that's from the side with the antenna connection first. All right, and then there's the bind button, of course. So with that done, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of, I know this is not fun stuff to watch, but it's got to be done. It's part of the job. Got to get the Crossfire connected. So I'll just use my nails and strip a little bit of wire off there. And then once I get a little off of those, I'm going to tin them. And then we'll get it connected to the receiver. So in case you guys wonder, we've talked about this on Discord a couple of times. I love this stuff. This Kester, take a screenshot of that. This Kester solder, I get it on Amazon, and it's really good stuff. I was in near tears when I ran out of my Radio Shack solder. I really was, man. I was bummed because that Radio Shack stuff was really good. You know, the purple and white label stuff, really good stuff. But when I ran out of that, I was really bummed out, and I tried a couple of different brands, and I never liked any of them. I never liked any of them. So I switched over. I got on Amazon. I was talking to somebody in Discord one night, and he found this Kester stuff. And he said, you ought to try this. And so I did. And well, I'll tell you what, ever since I got this Kester solder, I love it. It just melts well and tins well and solders well. Always leaves a nice shiny finish on the solder joint that I'm working on. So always good stuff. And then we'll use a little bit. I'll use a little bit of flux on these pads when I solder these pads. And then I'll show you another little pro tip. Don't tell your wives this, and definitely don't tell my wife. Oh, what'd I do with it? Oh, there it is. So when I'm soldering, I like to cheat a little bit, and I use a coaster. Don't tell. Don't tell. Okay. So hopefully, yeah, I think you guys can see that, right? You can see that. So I'm just going to use a coaster and hold my chip down and just tin these pads for my wires real quick. So a little more on that one. All right, there we go. A little tinning on the wires there, and then I'll use the coaster up here too. So again, before you start soldering, make sure you get a good bead on it. And remember, ground is the square one on the bottom, and then it's red, and then it's alphabetical order, RX, TX. So I'm going to start with ground first. And hopefully I didn't cut my wires too short. This is not going to be a lot of fun, but it's tidy when you're done. So that's the trick. All right, I have to arrange this so I can actually do the soldering because I'm a lefty. So there we go. I think that'll do it. You know what? That feels a little too long. I'm just going to take a little bit off the tip on this one. It feels a little too long. These things are so... Here, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cheat. It's moving, and I don't want it to move, so I'm just going to cheat. I'm use a little double-sided tape and just stick it down there so it stops moving. And so my hand stops bumping it. So just take a little double-sided tape. Just a little help. A little help from a friend. All right, that's better. Now it's not going to move. Oh, I peeled it off too fast. I had it and I took it off. And the solder was still molten. There we go. There's black. There's red. All right, now I got to check my work before I solder and make sure I get it right. So remember, it's RX TX, and they're saying the white is the TX on the flight controller, and you reverse them. So if the white is the TX on the flight controller, I want to connect that to my RX on my receiver. So we'll use white. Use white. Oh, my double-sided tape is coming up. Stay there, buddy. Just another minute, we're done. Okay, there's white, and the last one is self-evident. There's yellow. And I'll tell you what, these Happy model receivers that are out now, boy, they are even smaller. This is pretty small. This is pretty small. And the Happy model ones are even smaller. Let me check the Let me check the comments here. Love Crossfire, use black heat shrink. Hi from Devon, UK. Martin, how you doing? Black heat shrink, what's wrong with red, man? You don't like my red? Hobie, what's up, man? Are you taking over for Robert? That sounds like something Robert would say. Love the heat shrink idea, says Jason. Yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? That's a neat nail. Wow. Yeah, though, I'll tell you what, man, that's one of the benefits of growing your nails just a little bit. I don't like the big eagle claws. I can't stand that, but just a little bit of nail, man, they're perfect for these little wires, buddy. I can get these little wires stripped off, no problem. So, yeah. Got mine from Flywood and Crossfire, came fully wired. Yeah, you're lucky, Jason, man. I normally buy them. I normally buy them ready with the Crossfire, but they didn't have any in stock. So put a small amount of solder on the tip to help transfer the heat. Yeah, got that. Love the Kester too, but since trying TBS solder, I'll never look back. It's really nice and smooth. Ooh, okay, another good tip. Just like to say thanks for the DJI goggle activation video. Martin, you're welcome. Hit the like button, guys. Yeah, hit the like button. Everyone hit the like button. Okay, now, so here's the thing. I want to just show this to you and make sure you guys can see the idea here, right? So the idea, all right, there's the wire. So there's a wire for the receiver, and that's gonna, you know, I'll tuck it in here somewhere and double side. In fact, they got the Bluetooth module on this side right there, zip tied. So I'll probably just put the Crossfire right there and zip tie it. It's gonna be perfect right there. So now the other thing I want to show is the antenna. Okay, so the idea on the antenna is to make it go the same direction as the wire. Now I'm just going to pop it in there and be real careful with these. These little tiny antennas are a pain in the neck, but be very careful putting those on and you'll feel them snap into place when you got it. Now you see the idea here, right, is that all the wires go in the same direction. So now I'm not going to put my heat shrink on yet because I haven't tested anything yet. But when I do put the heat shrink on, I'll just do that. And I can put a little extra up there like that to help keep everything nice and snug and tight. And the main thing, you have to do heat shrink on these Crossfires because you need that heat shrink to hold that connector down, okay? Mike Rays, love the channel. Thanks for the great videos. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's always nice when you guys tell me that you're learning something or you like the material. It's hard work, so I do appreciate that. So anyway, there we go. That's the idea with the heat shrink, but not yet. Not yet. We're going to pair it first and make sure that everything is copacetic. But before I do, I'm going to go ahead and get my smoke saver out real quick. Short saver, that's what it should be called. If you guys aren't familiar with this is from Vifly, and they're awesome. You can also just check continuity. Somebody made a comment about checking continuity, but you know, I keep this in my field box. I don't keep a multimeter in my field box, so I always have this handy. I'm just going to plug this in, and the little yellow light means I'm ready to go, and I'm going to connect it to my quad here. Now nothing's powered on yet, so you can see I've got my battery connected here. I've got my yellow light ready to go, and all I'm looking for is just, well, obviously we want to make sure we don't have a short and I didn't do anything wrong on here, and then that we get a little light on the Crossfire. But one thing I want to tell you, this is the part. Now I'm not 100% on this. This is what I think. I'm going to zoom out because I want to give you guys a little bit more video space to see what's going on here. So I think here's what I understand about binding Crossfire. My understanding is that if you bind Crossfire for the very first time, right? If you, the first time you turn it on, you don't need to press the bind button to bind it. But the second time you turn it on, you do. I haven't experimented with it, but that's my understanding. And I can tell you that I've had mixed results. So on some quads that were plug and play with Crossfire, I was able to get them to bind right out of the box without ever touching that bind button. And that's handy because sometimes these things are buried and it's a real pain to get to that bind button. I've also had cases where it did not work doing that, so I had to press the bind button. So I'm just throwing it out there that I've seen it go both ways. Because these are brand new and they've never been used before, they were in a sealed container, I'm going to assume that I'll be able to bind them without pressing the bind button. We'll see. So the first thing I'll do is turn on the radio. And as you guys know, ooh, that's loud. As you know, I already did the template and I've copied a template over for this setup. So I'm going to go into my model selection here and let that load up. I got a lot of models in here, so that takes a second. And then we'll go into the quad folder. You guys see that? I'm hitting page right and it goes up. I don't know what that's about. Okay, there's, oops, of course I passed it. Okay, so there's the quad folder, and I didn't make a template already, but for my Mr. Croc, but I have my template here. So what I'm gonna do is click on this, and I'm gonna hit duplicate. Now this is the advantage of using a template. So I've made a copy of my template, it's right there. I'm gonna go in there and select that, and all I want to do now is go into the model and see that I've got Crossfire enabled on the external. So that's good to go. Now all we have to do is go into the system. I should name this real quick. Give me a second. I want to name it. Because if I don't name it, then it can get, you wind up losing it and saying, which one was I working in? So let me just give me just a moment. Bear with me. We'll call this Mr. Croc. What a name, huh? Is there a correlation between a quadcopter and a croc in Asian and Chinese or Mandarin or something? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they use the croc. And crocs are nasty. Crocs are nasty, nasty animals. Maybe that's what they were saying. Is it's, oops, I missed the capital C. I know, I'm OCD. There we go. Okay, now we're good. So now I know that, you know, if I go into model select, I'm in the right place. Okay, so we'll click on model. I've got Crossfire selected. So now we go into system, and we're going to go under the TBS agent light and micro TX. And it looks like you guys can see everything okay. Hopefully you can hear everything. No one's complaining. And Hobie says he's had it go both ways. Yeah, I think it has something to do with whether or not they test them. All right, so let's see. Hit the like button, guys. Love it. Okay, good. So I'm caught up on comments. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is go into bind, and now I'm going to go ahead and add power. So I'm going to take my short saver, and this is the power application button, and I'm going to hit that. And if everything's okay, it'll work, and you can see that I've got a blinking light on my Crossfire. So now I'm going to go on the radio and hit bind and hit go, and there it goes. See, it picked it up right away. That thing's in bind mode because it picked it up. So I'll say enter for confirm. Now, I have had problems too on these no-touch binds where the update gets all the way to the end, but then the rebind fails. It's been a mix. It's been a mixed bag. So you can see what it's doing. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can watch the radio. You guys are seeing this live, man. This is what, you know, this is the deal. This is how it goes. So hopefully what'll happen is it'll go through the update and get a couple flashes. That'll blink green for a few times, but don't touch, just wait. And it'll say bind successful. And what you're looking for is a solid green light on that Crossfire. When that solid green light is on, then you should have a pretty good outcome. So there we go. We'll just wait. Martin says 6-inch blades can be nasty. Yeah, these are 7s, man. These are 7s. Yeah. These are 7s. They're GemFan 7040s. So, hey, just a quick little pro tip if you didn't know it or didn't spot it already. I put my prop nuts on the motors. So I just hand tighten them. Just spin them down a couple of times, and there we go. Okay, see, RX is loading. Don't interrupt in progress. See that? That's bad. That's not good. It should fix itself, but don't touch it until it goes solid green. That's the point. So it says binding okay. Look, that's what you're looking for. That solid green. This says binding okay. That means we have a bind. So Hobie says going better than the live DJI goggle. Don't hoax me, man. Don't hoax me. We got to do the goggles yet. Okay, everything looks okay to me. This is the correct state. Binding okay, solid green light. We should be good to go. So I'm going to hit okay on that. Oh, I did it again. I'm binding again. I should have hit return. That's all right. We'll leave it go. I should have hit return. Yeah, let's see. It did the update already. We're bound. It's still bound. So no harm, no foul. Okay, now another thing I'm going to do real quick just to see is I'm going to go into the model settings, and oh yeah, there's the telemetry already. I'm going to delete all these just for curiosity's sake. Delete all. Yes, I really mean it. And then I'll discover new sensors. Yeah, bam. So when you see that, that's a good sign. The sensors and a solid green light, that's all good stuff. That's all good stuff. That means you got a pretty good situation going on. Okay, now that needs to be turned off because I have a DJI unit on there, and they get hot. They get hot. So that's it for that. I'm going to turn this off. We have Crossfire is good to go. And now that we're done soldering, we don't really need the short saver anymore because I'm not adding anything else from a wiring standpoint. Okay, so that's step one. We got our Crossfire installed and done, so that's good. That is the first thing knocked out. Now, it's okay at this point if you want to put on your heat shrink, and I am going to put some on because while I'm knocking around, I don't want anything to damage it or have anything come loose on me. So I'm going to go ahead and add the heat shrink now. I'll mount it later. You guys don't care about seeing zip ties and double-sided tape, so I'll fiddle with that later. But I am going to go ahead and put the heat shrink on now because I want to protect that receiver while I work on the quad the rest of the day. The main thing that I'm looking for on this heat shrink is to make sure that heat shrink collapses down. Man, it's hot. To make sure that heat shrink collapses down over that antenna connection. That's the main objective for me. I want that thing on there good and tight. That's the last thing you want to come off when you're flying, right, is your antenna. And those little micro UFL connector deals, man, they're a little squirrely. They're a little squirrely, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, it's good enough. Don't overdo it either, because you will burn a hole in it, and that annoys you. It's nothing like doing a rework. You know, when you got everything the way you want it, and then you got to rework it. I hate that. I hate that. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and just take a little piece of double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick it inside the quad somewhere, so it's just not flopping around out in the wind. Bugsy742 says, "Can't believe you're late." Yep, 5 demerits, Bugsy. Was on liftoff. Oh, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. I approve. Liftoff. That's a good answer. All right, so I'm just going to stick that in there for now, just so it's not, you know, I just want it out of the way. I'll worry about tidying it up later, okay? So there we go. We got the Crossfire done. Next thing, OpenTx configuration. Let's spend a little time in there. I want to show you guys what's going on with my OpenTx config. And remember what I told you. I gave the OpenTx configuration is in the description. If you want to download it and use your own, you can do that. And the other thing that I'm going to do, because when I turn on Crossfire in the full system mode, it kind of blows out my microphone. So I'm going to turn the transmit power down a little bit. So let's just go under General. Yeah, I've got it all the way up. Oops, I don't want to change that. I'm going to go all the way up to, it's on one, it goes up to 1 watt right now. I'm just going to lower it to 25. Oh, that's much better. Yeah. That takes the noise right out of my headset. I just have to remember to change it back before I fly. Okay. All right. So I want to show you guys a couple things that I've done here that I think are pretty cool. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick it up. Let me zoom in just a little bit. See if I can show you guys what I've got going on here. Okay. So as far as sensors go, I haven't done the Crossfire configuration yet on Betaflight, so you don't see the sensor names here, but when I do and I pick up that telemetry, what you're going to see here is I do satellites here, TQLY. Unfortunately, we don't have link quality, so I'm using TQLY here, and then I've got my RX battery, my current, flight mode, and my GPS coordinates here. So that's just a telemetry page. So here's my main telemetry page, and then here is my second, or sorry, not my main telemetry. This is my main model page. And then this is my telemetry page. So this one I actually got from Drone Pilot. He gave me this tip. He said, you know, if you put your GPS coordinates in there and the quad goes down and gets disconnected, the GPS stays on there until you turn the radio off. So you can use that data to plug it right into Google Maps, and then you can go get your quad back. Here's another thing that we learned while we were having that conversation. I'll just show you guys real quick. Under settings, under the coordinate format, use NMEA, because when you do that, the GPS coordinates that the radio shows you are directly pluggable into Google Maps. Just throwing it out there. If you use DMS, they're not. You have to convert them. Google, I don't know why, but Google Maps doesn't take DMS. So set it for NMEA, and then when you do that and you use this GPS coordinates that come in, you can plug that directly into Google Maps. So Liquid Viewing says, what did you do with the Immortal antenna, the red stuff at the end? Oh, so you're a little late, buddy. But what I did was I took some heat shrink and put it on the Immortal antenna and then ran the other end under a motor screw mount right here. So that way it keeps the antennas from getting up into the prop wash. And this is RF transparent, by the way, so no harm to quality, no harm to power. Okay, so that's it for the telemetry screen. I just wanted to show you guys that one real quick. That's all in the template that I uploaded on RC Video Reviews. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was the model settings real quick. Not much here. We'll talk a little bit about rates, but you know, normally for a fixed wing or a non-Betaflight or non-iNav, you'd put your rates in here. But on this configuration, just inputs, just 4 straight inputs, AETR, and then AETR here. And then all I've got for my switches, very simple configuration. I was using my 6-position switch, but after I read FPV Flight Dynamics and he shamed me out of Horizon mode and Acro Trainer mode, he's like, don't use that stuff, just fly the quad. And he's right. Christian was right about that. So because of that, I took all that crap out of my radio and out of my Betaflight configuration. Now I only have 3 modes. I have Acro mode, which is the default. I have angle mode, because angle mode is the one you could use where, you know, if you want to pause for just a moment and scratch your eyes, you know, check your goggles, move stuff around. Angle mode's not a terrible thing to have access to, because it'll kind of level things out and you can let it hover for a minute while you make an adjustment, you know. So that's why I'm keeping angle mode. And then I have GPS rescue, and that's it. And I have that on SC, my SH switch. Now remember, for those of you who aren't familiar with my channel, I move my momentary. So on most radios, the momentary is over here. I relocate mine to over here because I use that for instant trim. So on mine, my SH switch is a 2-position. That's my throttle arm and disarm. And that is in the configuration here. And then SC is the mode. VTX power is my SD switch. And I have that in my common configuration. So the VTX switch, this SD switch allows me to adjust VTX power. It's all in the configuration. Go download it. You'll be able to see it. Load it up in Betaflight. You'll be able to see it. And then SG is my beeper. So this switch right here, if I need a beeper, I can pull it toward me and I'll get a beep. It'll activate the one-shot beeper on the motors. And then on the last 2 things I have is OSD. On SA, I have 3 different OSD profiles, and then on SB, I have my rates, and those set the rate profiles in Betaflight. I have been asked about this. I will show you that, but when I set high, medium, and low rates, I do it with this switch, and nothing happens inside the radio other than the pulse width on this channel being sent to Betaflight. It changes the rates in Betaflight, okay? That's my OpenTx config. The output screen, just go ahead and do this. It seems like every single Betaflight setup I've ever done requires output changes so that you get 1000 and 2000 as your input and output, and 1500 as the center. So you do need to do that. These are the numbers that you work on my radio pretty much every single time. And let's see, as far as global variables, none, no logical switches. And then all this stuff does is my throttle override. I do have one little trick in here, and that's override channel 9. That's my OSD screen. So if I put my return to home mode switch on right here, if I hit return to home, what happens is this switch overrides channel 9, which is the one I use for my OSD, and it switches my OSD automatically to the full view. So my 3 OSD profiles, one of them is a full data. It's got amps, you know, the crosshairs, the artificial horizon, all of it. And then I've got a couple of others that minimize the information on the OSD, just voltage, and then, you know, the crosshairs and maybe current, distance to home. And then I have another one that's really meant for, like, you know, photography or just enjoying the scenery. And that has very little information. So if I hit return to home, it overrides that position and says, let's go back to the full screen. Because if he hits GPS rescue, we need all the data. We need everything. The last thing I need to do is fiddle around going, where's the switch to turn on my data? So that's what that does. And again, it's all in the template that I gave you. And then I've got a couple of audio tracks that just say when the motors are armed, when the buzzer's on, when the co-pilot, it says co-pilot on and off. That's my OSD screen. I just needed a reminder to say, hey, when that OSD is full on, let's make sure that I called it the co-pilot. It's the best option I could find. So anyway, that's the OpenTx config. Just wanted to walk you guys through that so that if you download the one that I made available, you have an understanding of, you know, what I was working on. So Liquid Viewing says, that's clever. I had my antenna hit the motors and sliced it, so I taped the antenna ends to black arms, but this is, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. One of the viewers actually mentioned it, and I thought when he did, I thought, man, that's such a good idea. because I did that on my Croc baby. It has an Immortal T antenna, and I did that on the first, like the first flight where I started doing acrobatics with my Croc baby. Okay, so there we go. We did Crossfire. We did the OpenTx configuration. So I walked through that top to bottom. Now it's time to get into Betaflight. So we're going to get into Betaflight, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. Let's take a look at Betaflight. Jason says, has anyone else had issues with the TX16S switches breaking? I've heard, I had one that had a key stuck. So, and I tracked it down. I forgot what switch it was, but it was one of my switches. It was I think it was one of these. And, but that was it. As far as the toggle switches themselves, they're pretty much generic, you know, generic toggle switches. You can actually get these all over the place. You can get them on Mouser and DigiKey and Amazon. The Tyrannus switches fit for the most part. They use PCB in here, like these switches use PCBs. So you can use Tyrannus switches, but you have to desolder them from the PCB and resolder them. So, but as far as the switches breaking, I haven't heard, like I get a lot of feedback on radios because I do so much information on OpenTx. So I haven't had like massive complaints about the switches themselves breaking. Although we have heard key stuck a couple of times. So, a lot of talking. I had to juice up a little. Okay. All right, Betaflight. Let's get into Betaflight. So I'm going to bring that up. I think I'm going to bring it up. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that. All right. I have to rearrange just a little bit on the screen so I can see what I'm doing. I think you guys can all see Betaflight. Now, I'm going to connect the quad to Betaflight. And this is the box stock configuration. On the first night that I got it, I know some of you guys were on Discord, and I did get in and tinker around a little bit, but I restored my configuration back to box stock. So you guys will see the actual box stock configuration. This is how it comes out of the box. So I'm just going to connect my USB cable, and I don't want to tension it. So there we go. USB cable goes in, and I want to look and see if I have power on my transmitter, on my receiver. I do have power on the receiver. No, I don't. No, I don't. How about that? It's not lit. That, you know, I know to check for that at this point. I'm checking for that because obviously if we're going to do the radio configuration and check, we need to make sure we have power to the receiver, and we do not. So we will have to work on that. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and connect now. It normally fails the first time, so that's fine. We'll let it fail and I'll do it again. I think it's discovering the COM port or something. Yeah, I'm having USB issues, I think, because I just heard it bong, bong, bong twice. Let's try connecting again. Yep, I'm definitely having some USB issues here. Try a different port. Oh, that one did. There it goes. That was a long delay. Wow. Yeah, of course. Right? That's the way it goes. I kind of wonder if it's my cable. Half the times, if I have these kinds of issues, I think it's related to the cable. But yeah, it does not seem to want to connect. Come on, you can do it. It says serial port open successfully. I think I'm going to have to close Betaflight and restart it. Yep, I'm going to close Betaflight and start it up again. Let's try it again. Betaflight configurator doesn't want to cooperate. Here we go. Let's try it again. Come on, Betaflight. Boy, this is really not opening today. Huh. It should. It's always something, right? It says serial ports open successfully with ID of 2. So it's definitely talking, but I think, honestly, I think it's something to do with this cable that I have. I really do. Or the port or the hub that I'm using. You know what? I'm going to try and plug it. directly into the computer and see what happens. It may take it off frame. Yeah, it's going to take it off frame. That's all right. We don't need to see the quad for this part. Let's try and plug it. There, that's directly into the computer, bypassing the hub altogether. Toby says, this was the issue I had the other day. Go into settings and enable USB. Go into settings and enable USB. I've never had it be this stubborn before, to be honest. Of course, you know, it's a live stream, so that's the problem. I'm going to close Betaflight again. If I weren't on a live stream, I probably would have rebooted the computer by now. Okay, come on, Betaflight. Come on, work with me just a little bit. You hit connect the first time and it says manual up here. And then yeah, this is absolutely being stubborn. Go into settings and enable USB on port settings. Where? What are you talking about? Up here? I don't see anything in there. I'm not sure what you're referring to, bud. I don't remember. Yeah, it says successfully closed. I've been in here on this computer, on this quad for quite a while. I've been in the CLI. I'm gonna try a different cable. Something's going on here. In the COM ports. Okay. Let me try a different USB cable first real quick. Give me just a minute, guys. Let me dig out a different cable. All right, here, I've got a different cable. Let's just try a different one. See if that helps. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna plug in. Martin says it helps us when things don't go to plan because then we know how to solve. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so it's picked up the COM port again. Let's try it again. Connect. This is really being so stubborn. Yeah, I remember the Croc baby, but we were looking at the device manager for USB settings, right? Yep, I don't know what's going on here. Let me try and connect a battery and see if that changes anything. Let's just try. Just connect a battery. No, I was just in here today with this quad. Today. In fact, I was there. See? Look. I got in there that time. That's weird, man. I don't like that non-deterministic stuff. I don't think computers should get a vote, to be honest. Just for curiosity, I'm going to unplug my battery because I've never had to have the battery plugged in before, but I wanted to unplug it just to see if I can still look. Yeah, I can. I can still look at other stuff. Okay. All right, let's see. Interesting. They have UART1 says, this is interesting. Check this out. Can you guys... Is Betaflight's in the way? Let me move Betaflight out of your way. Check this out. So they say on this little sticker, they say white TX2 and yellow RX2, but in the Betaflight configuration, the default, they have the serial RX on UART1. Interesting. And nothing on UART2. How about that? I'm going to change it. I'm just going to change that. I'll hit save and reboot, and hopefully we won't have a pain in the neck getting back in again. Seems like once it gets connected, it seems to be okay. Oh, great. It failed. Oh, this is going to be a long day if I have to go through this every time. I may have to connect that battery. It says it failed to open the port. Dang it. I do not like that. This should not be this complicated. Maybe update? No, I don't think so. I've been using this for a while. This entire setup for a while. The only thing new to all this is the quad itself. You know, I'm going to try something just out of curiosity because I really don't think it's a computer issue. Hold on. I'm going to get another quad out. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to take this and set it aside. And I'm going to plug in the Nazgul, and I'll let you guys, I'll hide Betaflight. Well, I don't know. I don't want to hide it. Here, I'll just make it a little smaller. So I've got the Nazgul 5v2. So let's just try that one and see what happens. Just out of curiosity, that says COM9. It's normal for me to see the first connection be challenging, but after now it says COM7. Huh. I haven't seen that before. Yeah, I have not seen that before. Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't, yeah, and see, it just dropped off. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to restart the app again. Yeah, it just dropped off. Yeah, something's not happy here. I've never had this kind of difficulty with Betaflight, ever. I've had some issues with iNav, but I've never seen this on Betaflight before. I'm gonna try plugging, you know what, this has got TBS. I'm gonna just try plugging a battery in. What the heck? It seemed to work when I had the battery plugged in. I'm gonna try it. Uh-oh, what the heck is going on? Well, okay. I don't know why that's in beeper mode. I'm going to turn the radio off. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Let's see. It says it's successfully opening. This is normal. On the first one, I'm used to seeing a delay like this. That's normal. It's the second one that should pretty much connect instantly, and it's not. It is absolutely not. I gotta be having some kind of USB failure here. It's gotta be. Gotta be. All right. I plugged it directly into the computer again. Let's try it again. Nah, I don't want to go through all that impulse driver stuff, guys. I've been using this computer with Betaflight forever. I've never seen this before. Never been a problem. You know what happened though? Recently I did the DJI Video Out thing. I kind of wonder if that's causing me some issues, because I did do the DJI Video Out, and that did install a different USB driver. I kind of wonder if maybe that's what's causing me grief here. I would have expected that if that were the case, that there'd be a lot of talk about that right now. But yeah, this is an abject failure. And what's funny is right before the video, I tested it to make sure it worked. And it worked. It was not a problem. That's not the, so it's got to be something to do with the computer somehow. Let's see. Driver fixer. No, there's no adapters. No adapters. This is straight USB. It's a micro on both. Well, I do not know what's going on here. I'm going to look in the device manager and see what I can see. So device manager, let's see. Yeah, this is strange. Okay. STM microelectronics virtual COM port. Let me share this with you. No, I don't want to restart my computer, you idiot. Hold on. Let me share. I'll share the device manager so you can see what I'm seeing. Dev. I'll just call it. I have to add this window. Okay, can you guys see that? Device manager? All right, device manager. So STM, that is correct. It is STM, yeah, that's correct. Let's see, port settings, bits per second, 9600 8.1, COM 7. Let's see, can I change the COM port? FIFO, it's got FIFO enabled, COM port number. Let's try changing it to 9. I'm just gonna change it to 9 and see if that does it. Why does it keep wanting to restart my computer? Okay, let's restart it, see if that fixes it. It says COM 9 now. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, look, there it went. Now it connected. Oh man, I don't know. That's really annoying. That's very random. All right, I'm gonna try it on COM 9 on this one. We know the cable works. We know the computer works. Let's see. Boy, that's like a punch in the face, isn't it? That this thing is being that stubborn. And look, now this one says COM 4. I wonder what that's all about. Why is it saying COM 4? The device manager says COM 4 too. Okay, so it says COM 4. Yeah, it's not just us. Yeah, Jace, like I said, with Betaflight, I honest to God, I have not had this kind of problem with Betaflight before. I just haven't seen it. My experience with Betaflight is that the very first one, not really melted gyro, man. I've connected a lot of quads. They all come in on COM 9. I mean, I know it can, but why? You know what I'm saying? If you're not changing the port, let me just change it back to COM 9 again. Let's see if COM 9, oh, it says COM 9's in use. Okay, great. I wonder if that's the problem. Let's try COM 7. I wonder if that's what's going on. I'm gonna close Betaflight again. Okay, there it says COM 7. It sees it. That's the thing. It definitely sees it, man. There's no doubt it's seeing it. Failed to open the serial port. Well, I hate to say it, but I think this needs a reboot. I think the computer needs to be rebooted to solve this. Yeah, I've never seen this be this stubborn. Yeah, I know they can come in on random ports, but I'm just trying to say that most of mine, they all just seem to come in on 9. So, all right, well, let's see. I'm going to try connecting a battery again, just for the heck of it. I feel like I'm stuck in the mud here. I really want to run the Zadig driver. I got to be honest with you. I want to run that because I just get the feeling that I never had this kind of issue until I did that DJI Video Out thing, and it did replace the USB driver. And in fact, not only did it replace it, I went back and checked the DJI Air unit to make sure it worked. And I'm really thinking that it's got something to do with that driver switch that I put in there. So let me try it. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna switch. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to the downloads folder and see if I can find where the heck I put that. So give me just a minute, guys. I appreciate your patience. I know this is what the hell, right? I mean, what the hell? Literally, what the hell is going on here? Let's see. DJI Video Out. Okay. Install drivers. Yes. I'm gonna run the here, I'll share this with you guys too so you can see it. I'm gonna run the Zadig thing and get my original. I'm gonna try and put the original driver back. So I think you guys can see that. Okay. And list all devices and let's see, USD COM port in virtual FS mode. No, you know what? I didn't change it for all of them. I didn't change it for that. I changed it for the bulk device. Virtual COM port in FS mode. Yeah, I don't think so. That's not a good idea. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Here's the only thing left for me to do is to try reboot. So I'm gonna try, hopefully it won't break the stream. If it does, just go back to the channel, look for another live stream and I'll kick off another one. But it's very possible it ends the stream, but I'll try and get the software started before that happens. So I'm going to close everything down first. I think it's a reboot. I really do. I think something's hung up on the computer somewhere. So I'm going to shut everything down. I'm going to shut down my chat. I'm going to shut down all my little software that's running. And I'm going to do a reboot, and then I'm going to try really hard to fire it back up. Oh, you know what? I had the DJI FPV app open too. Hold on a second. Yes, quit now. That's what I said. Quit now. Let me try that first. I closed that. Let me just try and run this again. I've never seen this before. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I've never seen that before. It's always just worked. So it says connecting, connect. Nah, it's not going to do it. It would be in instantaneously. All right. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to try and recover the stream. If not, just go back and look and I'll start a new one. So it'll be right behind this one. So give me about 30 seconds. Doesn't take me too long and I will get a reboot underway and we'll try and get this knocked out. So stand by. I'll be back momentarily. You guys, let me see what's going on in the chat window and see if you guys are still here. Did I make it? Did I make the reboot? Did we survive the reboot? Let's see. Use the brake. What cell checker using? Yeah, I made it. I feel your pain. Chin up. All right. Okay. So we're back. All right. Let me try it again. I'm going to bring up, that's a reboot. Boy, that's fun to try and do that in the middle of a live stream. Let me try and bring up Betaflight again. I've unplugged everything from USB. There's nothing plugged into USB. Nothing. No keyboard, no mouse. Oh, the mouse. Yeah, the keyboard and mouse wireless adapters, but I don't have any choice with that. It's either going to be them or I don't get to use a mouse at all. Okay, so I'm plugged in. I hear the bong. I'm going to bring up Betaflight. Let's see, and I'll make sure that's turned on. Yep, it's turned on so you guys can see it. Com 7. All right, this is a blast. It's not doing anything. Interesting. Oh, this has gone from bad to worse. I really hoped a reboot would solve this. Let me oh, it says the COM port was not enabled. Now it's enabled. Okay, well, let's try it again. Look at that. A reboot. You know, here's the thing. Just the other day, my stream software, I lost all my USB, all my sound stuff. And I don't know, it's almost like my USB subsystem on the computer reboot itself or reset itself somehow. Anyway, it looks like we're in. Okay. So I'll tell you what, I'm still going to plug in a battery because I don't see my receiver blinking and I want to make sure we have receiver stuff going on. So I've got the radio turned back on. Let's try and get this thing back on track for Pete's sake. All right. Okay, so there we go. Betaflight's up and running. I'm going to go ahead and connect a battery. I'm going to do that now. And then we're going to go in the ports configuration in Betaflight or the receiver. So let's see, receiver. And we don't have anything working, but we do have the right channel map. There's AETR. Everything looks okay there. And remember on ports, I said UART2 because that's the paper they gave me. So now that what I need to do is go under configuration, and we need to scroll down and find under serial based receiver. We'll leave that the way it is, and we just change this to Crossfire. So we hit Crossfire. Oh gosh, cross your fingers. Save and reboot. I hope this doesn't go so. Oh, look at that, it worked. Yay. I think the reboot solved it. And of course, I have nothing. So, oh man, I wonder if the wires are backwards. Oh man, and I put the heat shrink on. You know, I wasn't going to put the heat shrink on until after I tested it, but I was sure that we had it right. Okay, let's see. Configuration, the Crossfire stick, use serial based Crossfire. Okay. So that's okay. The Crossfire configuration's right. Let's turn off UART2 and turn on UART1 because remember that's the way it came. So let's try that. Let's see if that solves it. It does not solve it. So what do I have wrong? What do I have wrong? I have something wrong. Let's see. I'm going to check my bind light, make sure I have a bind light, and I'm going to support that cable. I don't want to rip my cable. I definitely have a Crossfire bind light. That's solid green. That looks good. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised none of this stuff is doing anything. I'm surprised at that. Okay, let's see. I'm going to click on model, and I do have RSSI data. I don't have the advanced stuff. I do discover new sensors. I got nothing. So the only thing left that I can think of is that I don't have the right port. Go back into Crossfire transmitter, make sure Crossfire is on. Yeah, it is. I did that. I went in here. It is serial based. It's Crossfire. It's correct. I did check that. I don't think there's another option. So Crossfire is enabled, and the only other thing, it is serial based input, that's correct. The only other thing would be one of the ports. So UART3 is MSP, that's not it. 4 is GPS, and I have a GPS light. 5 is probably the DJI, and there's 6, and that's it. So it's either 1 or 2. It's either 1 or 2. So let's see, check the transmitter Crossfire Lua. Check the transmitter Crossfire Lua. Well, let's see. Agent Light. Yeah, I've got a bind. I can see. I'll pop that up so you guys can see it. So there's the. I wonder, output map. Can you change this? Wait a minute. Nano output map. It's got smart audio on output 4 for some reason, and that shouldn't be. That should be channel 4, shouldn't it? Right? Shouldn't that be channel 4? Output, no, output 1 and 2, TX and RX. Ooh. So TX, oh, TRST. I have that backwards. Output 1, I'm going to change this. I've never tried this before, but can you change it in here? Let's try. Just for argument's sake. I'm going to try and change output 2 to be something. I'm going to just do channel 12. And then I'm going to change, oh, it didn't like that. It says output 1 is TX. It says output 1 is TX. I guarantee you that's the problem. It says output 1 is TX. QRST. Yeah, that's backwards. That's the problem. All right, great. We're resoldering. I should not have put the damn heat shrink on. See? I should have listened to my own advice. I said not to do it, but I did it. You got to test the stuff, man. That's the only way around. Got to test. It's got to be the answer. That's the only thing that it can be. Once you get that UART, and there were only 2 UART options, so that's the troubleshooting bit, right? Once you get that UART right, and it had to be one of the 2, then the only other real option is going to be the wiring. So I read the manual, I read the book, and it said shit, I just poked myself. It said they were in alphabetical order, R and T, but I don't think they are. So we're going to reverse them. That's no problem. But there's your lesson. Don't put this stupid heat shrink on until you have everything verified. I should have taken my own advice. Okay. Boy, this has been exciting. An argumentative computer. So, you know, when I rebooted, I went back and I connected and it showed COM7, in case you guys are wondering what I did, because I don't think I had the device manager shared at the time. I went back into the device manager and I looked at COM7 again, and it said the STM driver is disabled for this device. I'm like, what? Why is it disabled? So I said, well, enable. And it said, okay. And it enabled itself. And when it did that, it came right up. I don't, man, computers, I'll tell you what. Hey, for those of you who said get a Mac, I'll let you know. I'm going to have you know, I used to be a Windows guy like years and years and years ago when it all first got going, right? I was definitely a Windows guy. And I switched to Mac when Microsoft unleashed Microsoft Vista on us. When they did that, I said, that's it. I'm out. Because that was god awful. That was just the worst operating system. I don't know what they were thinking when the developers, when the business guys allowed that to go to market. I don't know what they were thinking with that. That was just terrible. So I left Microsoft and went to Windows, and my wife is not a technology person. She didn't think it was amusing. She didn't think it was amusing at all to go into, oh shit, which one? Okay, white is the TX, and that's the one I had on there first. So yellow. Okay, I think that's right. So she's the technophobe, right? She didn't like switching at all. But we ended up making the switch, and we stayed on Macs for a long time. I think it must have been like 12 years, and then Apple decided that they were going to do the butterfly keyboard. They were selling CPUs that, this thing is bent the wrong way. They were selling CPUs that were a generation older older than what you were able to get on Windows. And on top of that, they were overheating. And then they sold these stupid butterfly keyboard things. And I said, you know what, that's it. You're selling substandard hardware. That was always the thing with Apple, right? Is they sold the killer hardware, and they were selling substandard hardware that had problems. You know, they were thermal throttling it. I mean, there were plenty of videos out on that. They were thermal throttling it, and not only that, but they were sticking to their premiums, right? They were still getting premiums for their stuff. And I thought, nah, I'm not interested in doing that. I'm not interested in doing that. It shows you're human. Yeah, hey man, you know, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. Like I said, when we do these videos, we get to crop the mistakes, right? You get to edit the mistakes out. They go away. So let's anyway, we'll go ahead and plug this in. I'm gonna pop Betaflight back up for you guys so you can see it. So I got the battery, got Betaflight, and now I've got the radio. I'm gonna go ahead and connect the USB to the controller. Look at that, man. Instantaneous. See guys, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but this is what I'm talking about. This is how it should work, right? It should like instantaneously pop up. All right, let's check the receiver now. And of course, nothing. Ports. I've got serial RX on 1. I'm going to try switching it to 2. Save and reboot. Okay, receiver. Hey, Yahtzee. There you go. These guys see there? There you go. A little perseverance. Yeah, Hobie's right. This is what we normally do on Discord. You guys, if you haven't joined us on Discord, I want to invite everybody to join us on Discord, because in Discord, we do stuff like this. We bring up monitors like this. We do troubleshooting with each other. We get the USB cameras going. It's a lot of fun. You know, we actually have a lot of fun. So yeah, good call, Hobie. Thanks for reminding me to invite everybody. Okay, so we got the receiver working. I already know the configuration works, so I don't really need to go through much of that, just because I've done this enough at this point to know that that stuff is all working correctly. So I'm not going to fiddle around too much in there. But here's what I am going to do now. I am going to show you guys. I'm going to bring up. Oh shoot! I have my reboot. My reboot. So I'm going to have to reshare the stuff. What a pain. Oh, wait, I might have this on my desktop. Let's see. Do I? I do. Wow, I was smart. Okay. So I want to show you guys my common config. And this is a cool little trick, right? This is a cool little trick. I have to reshare this window though, so give me just a moment. Window capture, common config, and there we go. So here's what I've done. And what I've done is I've gone through my configuration and I've taken out things that I do on all of my Betaflight configurations. So for example, when I go back over to Betaflight, let me hide this for a minute and we'll go back to Betaflight. And what I want to show you is for my Betaflight for modes, for example, I always use the same modes, but I don't want to, every time I do this, I don't want to click add range, you know, move the radio. So rather than do that, I went through the configuration and I started pulling out this common config stuff. So I've got, if you look at this aux line up here at the top, I've got the, these aux commands. Those are the modes. I've got my RX fail commands. They're right there. I have my adjustment commands for things like changing my profiles, and I'll walk through that in just a minute. And then I've got my actual rate profiles. So what I'm going to do is just copy that stuff, Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to go over to Betaflight in the CLI down here. Now notice on the modes, there's nothing in there, right? There's nothing in there. So I'm going to go down to the modes, the CLI, and I'm going to hit Control V and paste my stuff in there and then hit enter. So when I do that, all of my configuration is now, my common configuration is in Betaflight now. It's all there. So when I go back to my mode screen right now, you can see I've got my arm switches enabled, my modes are enabled, I've got my angle mode, GPS, rescue, beeper, and I can switch back and forth. So there's acro mode, there's angle mode, there's GPS rescue mode. Oh, sorry, I got it backwards. That's acro, angle, GPS rescue. And then my arm and disarm switch is all done. So that's the nature of that common config file. That's why, oh shit, I had that in front of you guys. Sorry, I'll go through it again. So here we go. So here's my modes. I've got my arm switches there, my my mode switch has me in acro mode right now, now angle, now GPS rescue, and I don't have to go through all that stuff. That's why I use this common config file. So again, that is shared in the description. If you guys would like to have, if you'd like to have a copy of this common config, it's in the description, download it, and you can use it to start building out your own common configuration file, okay? So that is out there in case you want to look at it. Okay, so let's see, Betaflight, I've got, now let's see, in Betaflight, let's go through some configuration things I want to show you guys. And I'm going to unplug my battery because it is an air unit and I don't want it to sit and overheat. I don't know if I'll lose my Crossfire. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll lose Crossfire doing that. Yeah, I did. It's complaining. Yeah, I lost Crossfire. So in this particular setup, the battery's got to be connected to power the Crossfire. But that's okay. We're still in Betaflight. Let's go through a couple things. Ports, we kind of covered that a little bit. You guys saw the troubleshooting to go back and forth. It came in at UART1 for Serial RX. If you have a bind and fly and it's not working, you can try that. I had my wiring backwards, so and that's normal. I like I said, it's about a 50-50 thing. So I had my wiring backwards. But if you need to figure it out, you can always, it's okay to turn one of these off and turn on another one and just reboot and see if what you're looking for works. So there's that. Notice the GPS. GPS is dim. Oh, because I unplugged the battery. So we'll leave that alone. That's it on ports. Under configuration, D-Shot, unless you really know what you're doing in here, just leave it alone. On the bind and fly stuff, it's fine. The PID loop frequency, I like to bring that up a little bit. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm going to say that it makes sense to me to turn that up, but I haven't found a reason to do it or a problem if you do or don't. So I'm still kind of in the woods on this one a little bit. If you have information about it, let me know. You know, I'd like to hear about it, but I do always turn it up a little bit. For some reason, it comes in at 2 kilohertz on a lot of these things, and I like to bump it up a little bit. Let's see, on the comments, you can't see it. I fixed that, right? I moved the notepad so you could see it. We would notice that the screen you copy notepad wasn't taking up the whole screen. Yeah, sorry guys. Apologize. OSD elements is also a must in the comment. We'll talk about that drone pilot in just a moment. Martin Gumbold, Bugs, Torquay Maverick territory. Okay. What did you do in CLI? 8K, 4K is ideal for Betaflight. That's what the best tuners recommend. Yeah, that's what I kind of landed on myself. You know, dumb luck, I guess. But I haven't really found an advantage to changing. I haven't found it yet, you know, like personally. So that's what I end up doing. I end up using 8 and 4K. So let's go back. I want to talk. Drone Pilot says OSD elements is also a must in a common config, and he's right, except for one thing. Let me add a little clarification to that. And what I'm going to do is show you guys, in addition to my common config. So I have that. Let me bring that back up so you can see it. So there's the common config, okay? And you'll notice that's devoid right now of any video information. All it's got in here is rates. It's got rate profiles, it's got my modes, it's got my failsafe stuff, and that's about it. Okay. Now I'm going to bring up another window. So give me just a moment. I have to go navigate and get this one. And I did put a link to this in the description as well. So you guys have that. You have all of this stuff. But let me bring up this next window. And the next window is what I call my common config for analog. And I'll just add that. I'm going to add it for you guys so you guys can see the analog common config. Now, the reason that I do an analog common config, this is right here. The reason I do that separately from the common config is because I fly both. I fly both analog and I fly digital, and the OSD and the VTX and the power settings are different for those. So what I've done is I will have 3 files in total. I'll have an analog common config with all of my OSD elements and my VTX settings, like which band that I want to use, my low power disarm, whether or not I want that on, my VTX power settings. Now, some of these have to be tweaked just a little bit depending on you know, what power options you have, for example, or what VTX channels you have. But these days, the stuff is so common that it's probably okay to use what I've shown here. Again, this is in the description. So I have an analog common configuration for an analog quad. So if I'm flying something with analog video, this is the common configuration I'll paste into that one. If I'm flying digital, I will build a common config for digital, but I have not done it yet. So you won't get to see that today, but you get the idea, right? If this were analog, I would just take all this information right here and I would just paste it into the CLI. That's all I would do. And now my entire OSD is common from quad to quad to quad. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to clear this junk out of the way. I'm going to put Betaflight away for just a minute, and then I'm going to bring up the chat just to see if you guys have any questions about that, because that was kind of, you know, kind of a little bit of a bender, and I wanted to make sure that if you guys have any questions about it that you could ask. So let me go ahead and, what is moving here? I don't know what the heck is moving here. I'm just going to start locking stuff. I get these, you guys don't see it, but I get these crazy bars and indicators on my screen when I don't have Windows locked. So well-tunes run best on 4K, and I think gyro works optimally on 8K. That's why in Betaflight gyro is locked to 8K. Okay. That's good to know. Good to know. I like it when there's feedback, especially if you like know what's going on, you know, like I still like to experiment with stuff like this. So I'll probably still tinker with that a little bit at some point. But right now, I think 8K, 4K seems to work fine. So are there any questions about the common config stuff? And Drone Pilot, thanks for mentioning the OSD elements. You were kind of right. You know, we were right in the same kind of frame of mind there, but I did separate them. So I have a different arrangement for my, because you know the difference with digital and analog. There's a definite change in the way your screen lays out and what elements are available, et cetera, et cetera. What's the downfall of 8K? 8K, I think that you're hitting the CPU more than you need to, because now you know these aren't really fast CPU. So if you're constantly using it and hitting it on the PID loop, then the CPU doesn't have time to do other things that it needs to do, like look at the MPU, right? Yeah, your CPU usage goes up, and maybe things like your barometer, your altitude, your navigation, your OSD, those things aren't working the way they're supposed to work because you're hammering the CPU with an aggressive PID loop. So, you know, it's just a question of experimenting, I guess. And it seems to me that all I can say is that 8K, 4K works. So why ask the CPU to do more than that if 8K, 4K is doing the job, right? And part of that, you know, I always got to caveat this stuff by telling you guys when it comes to flying drones, you guys know I'm not like a flow expert. I'm still learning. So I haven't been flying these things long enough to get in and say, well, here's exactly the problem. I'm not there yet. I will get there, but I'm not there yet. So I kind of look for egregious behavior, and so far I've been fortunate, I think, on Betaflight to not see any of that. Okay, so that's it. If there's no other questions on the common config stuff, I'd like to bring up Betaflight and go over one other little area with you guys. Maybe two areas, a couple of areas. Oh, Failsafe. Yeah, I did. There were a couple of areas to go over. Okay, for Failsafe, what I wanted to show you is on aux2, I've got angle and GPS rescue, and I set it to 2000. Let me explain myself on that. If we go over to modes, and I come down and look at GPS rescue, and I don't have a battery connected, so I can't make a move, but notice where this indicator is on GPS rescue. It's right there at 2000. So what that means is that when this mode switches at 2000 on aux2, the quad's in GPS rescue mode. So under Failsafe, what I've got is aux2 right here, and I have it set to 2000. Now, the question is, this is debated, right? I don't have the hard and firm answer, but for me, the way I look at it is that if I lose my radio connectivity, my understanding of this block of text is that if the radio goes south, this is a hard-coded answer as to what the quad will do. So by setting this value to 2000, what I'm saying is if the radio goes away, you have to assume that aux2 is supposed to be set at 2000. And if you look at the modes and look at aux2, you can see that 2000 means GPS rescue. So the idea is that it comes home. Now, there are other, you can do other things with your radio in terms of no pulses, and Betaflight should recognize that as an RX loss and affect what you see on the right-hand side with stage 1 and stage 2. So that's the way I understand it. That's the best explanation I can give at this point in time. I will experiment more with this and learn more about it and probably do some bench testing to make myself more familiar with it. But my understanding right now is that by putting this setup in there, you're hard coding it and saying, look, if you lose radio, put aux2 at 2000. And to me, that's what I want. I want it to be in GPS rescue mode. So your options, by the way, on Failsafe for these stage 2 settings, that's the other thing I'll do is in GPS rescue, I'll change this. I don't like this 200 value. I always change this to 100. And the reason I picked up on that is because if I implemented GPS rescue and I was kind of close, what would happen is the quad would turn, it would climb up, and it would start coming back, but then it would stop coming back because at 200 meters away, that's still a pretty good distance. And so it would stop coming back. It would just kind of slow down and start to descend. So what I recommend is just fiddle with it and work on one that you like. I like the 100 meters because when I use 100 meters, the quad literally comes back right over my, like it's over the runway. And then it starts to descend. And when it's over the runway, I can see it. So, you know, I can always see it. I can always see my quad. I can always see my quad. This is a disclaimer. I can always see my quad. But I can see it really well when it's directly over the runway. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But I can always see my quad. Yeah, there. Okay, so anyway, GPS rescue. I like 100 meters. Toy with it. Don't be afraid to change it a little bit. But I think you'll probably be okay if you stick with between 100 and 200 meters. I've toyed with the ground speed change. I've toyed with the throttle stuff. I don't think there's any reason to do it. When it comes to minimum satellites, I understand that the nature of getting more satellites gives you more accuracy. However, if you're dealing with the lost quad, I don't need it to be crystal accurate. It doesn't have to be. I'm not flying a friggin' waypoint mission. I just want the damn thing to come home. So I set it down to 7, and you could probably set it down to 6. My understanding is 6 is the minimum for a 3D lock. So I've been using 7 just for a little bit of a cushion. But listen, would you rather have five satellites and have your quad come back toward you, or would you rather have 4 satellites and have it drop to the ground? So I don't see any harm in lowering this number. Even if it just comes back in the general direction, that might be enough to get you back into control or video or what have you. So I don't mind lowering that value. And then finally, sanity checks. I only use sanity checks for failsafe. For an actual failsafe, the sanity checks are, they go through and verify that they've got GPS, they verify they've got a home lock, they verify all that stuff. So when I'm doing failsafe, when I'm doing testing, I always do testing in a controlled environment. So if I activate the switch and it drops out of the sky, I don't really want that if I'm testing. So I always set the sanity checks for failsafe only, and that's it. So I'll do a save and reboot on that. And then there we go. So it's also unnecessary. Yeah, thanks. Hey, Melted Gyro, I do appreciate you, man. Thanks for the assist on that. I guess that's a good way to put it. Martin says, what's your thoughts on the upcoming iNav? I heard about it. I'm excited to get it. And I've got some airplanes that have iNav. And also I will have some of these quads with iNav too, for sure. You know, I'll do that. So, yeah, sanity check doesn't really check for GPS lock and home point, but it's looking for the number of satellites and a 3D fix, right? And that's another thing that's kind of mysterious. I would love it if they'd say what sanity checks exactly are. You know, why don't they have a little thing saying, hey, this is what a sanity check is? I'd love to, to be honest, I just haven't looked it up yet. I need to. I should look that up. I don't know the definition of this one, so I'll fall on the sword and tell you that that's one that I should know, but I haven't looked it up yet. I need to, because I'd like to know exactly what a sanity check is. But my theory is that when it comes to a failure, when I'm testing, just test. You know, if you're missing a satellite, don't fall from the sky. Right? That's kind of what I'm driving to. Like, come back. You know, come back. And you know, you can make the argument too. You can turn sanity checks completely off. Say, well, by the time you've actually initiated a recovery, when it's out flying, that's already worst case scenario. So what could get worse, right? It's kind of like pulling the trigger on a gun. When you've opted to do that, you've already made the ultimate decision. And I kind of feel the same way about the GPS rescue. If you need that in real life, may as well just turn the stuff off and pray that it comes back. That's probably a new way to think about it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to turn mine off. I just figure, look, if I've reached the point where I'm actually going to need the thing to come home, the last thing I need is another system saying, nah, we're gonna not come home because we have one satellite that we don't like. It doesn't have the right, you know, I don't need that. I would try, you know, try, come home. So that's the way I'm thinking about that problem. But at any rate, what I can tell you is that this GPS rescue config has been pretty effective for me. Okay, PID tuning. I'm not going to set up the dual rate deal on this one because this is a 6S. So you guys remember I did the video on buy 4S, fly 6S, right? I'm not going to do that on this one because this is a 6S quad. Remember, when it comes to 4S, 6S, you can go down. You can take a 4S motor and scale it down, but you cannot take a 6S motor and scale it up. So for that reason, there's no value in doing a output motor scaling setup unless you have, you know, something that you're trying to accomplish, like reduced amp draw or something like that. You could do that, but you know, for that purposes of changing batteries, not germane here. So under rate profiles, what I wanted to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and plug in a battery so you guys can see me toggle through these. And I will make the Betaflight window just a touch smaller so we can all see what's happening with the radio. But I want to, oops, not that one, this one. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So you guys should be able to see the rate profiles now in Betaflight, right? I think so. You should be able to see those. And what I've got is, it's not going to work, huh? Do I have a link? Let's see what is going on with my rate profiles. They're configured. Do I have my adjustments set correctly? Yep, they're configured. And do I have aux6 working? Nope, aux6 isn't working. That's the problem. Okay, why is aux6 not working? aux6 should be... This should work. I'm surprised this is not working. aux6, oh, that's mode. No, that's not right. Rate profiles. Where's the rate profile button? Rates, SB. Huh, that's 10. I bet it's because I don't have the right number of channels enabled on my Crossfire. I'm sure that's what it is. So let's go into Agent Light. So let me put that down. I'm gonna hide Betaflight so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm pretty sure, let me just disconnect this while I work on it so the DJI air unit doesn't overheat. So under Nano TX, I'm pretty sure what's going on is I don't have, oh crap. You gotta have that plugged in order to do it. General, there you go. See how it says mode 8 channel? That's a problem. I'm using more than that. I need 12 channels. So there we go. Now I've got 12 channels. This is all stuff that you know, when we're doing these videos, this all gets cropped out. That's why we look like experts. That's like there we go. See, now aux6 works. There you go. Now I'm going to go back to, I'll bring Betaflight back up so you guys can see it. And here you go. aux6 now works. And that means that my rate profile, when I go under PID tuning and look at my rate profiles right here, when I make the change, yeah, there you go. See how it changed to 567 and now it changes to 482. There you go. So and it's right up here too under rate profile. So I got rate profile 1, rate profile 2, rate profile 3. Those are your high, medium, and low rates. Okay. That's also baked into my common config. So you can put this stuff in your common config and that way you don't have to go and type the stuff out for all 3 of your rates that you want to use. So it's just a nice, again, it's another advertisement for the common config is that by using that and figuring that out, you have a real nice way of getting all your setups to be the same on your quads. So we'll go ahead and hit save on that and I'll see if you guys have any jokes for me about my radio configuration work. Let's see. It will also check for rotation, such in case of the drone in stage 1, if the failsafe hits the ground, stage 2 kicks in, stuck in the grass, sanity check will turn the quad. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I get that. In case of a tree hit, it'll turn the quad off. Okay, I feel like sanity checks are for quad safety. I'd rather have a quad come back in one piece and get stuck in the grass and burn out. Using Betaflight GPS, I wouldn't go very far anyway. I've had pretty good luck with the GPS, but you know, to each his own. I think everyone's going to have to decide what works for them and what doesn't. So Bill says up the channel. Look at Bill, man. Bill's getting clever. He's been toying. I can tell. He's been playing around with stuff because he's making suggestions that are right on the mark. Okay. So there we go. Let me make sure Betaflight's back up and running. Can you guys make sure? I want to make sure you guys can see. I'm going to put Betaflight on the side. I'm going to turn the chat window off so that's not a distraction. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And I think there we go. So there we go on the rate profile stuff. Do you guys have any questions about rate profiles and rates? Bill's been playing around. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear that, Bill. Have fun with it. It's fun. It's fun to tinker with this stuff. And the developers are amazing, man. The guys who put this stuff together, I just love them. I mean, I just really think it's cool that they do this kind of work and test it and figure it out and then share it with us. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been having a blast flying these quads. Just a blast. They're a lot of fun. And they've made it so easy. I mean, it's a little bit of a hump, right? A little bit of a learning curve, but boy, once you get over that, it really works well. Hobie says, read Christian's book for rates. Yeah, that's right, guys. If you, I should put his book in the description as well. I've got a affiliate link, but read the book FPV Dynamics by Christian Malika. It's a really good book. And if you need to learn about rates, he does a really nice job explaining it. And even if you don't agree with his final numbers, at least you can have an understanding of how he comes to the conclusion, so you can work out your own stuff. So yeah, I agree, Hobie. It is a really good book. It's well thought out, very comprehensive, very comprehensive. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else coming in on rate tuning, so I'm gonna leave on rate profile. So we'll leave that alone. We spent enough time. Well, you know, it's gonna do that again. You got to every now and then it'll get stuck. Yeah, it's every now and then it gets stuck. So there's PID tuning. Now we'll click on receiver. By the way, look, guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is what you see I'm disconnect. This is what I'm used to at Betaflight. You should be able to go in and out just that fast, like no problem. Reboot, disconnect, reconnect. That's how Betaflight normally works for me. That's why I was like, I don't want to mess with drivers. So it wasn't being stubborn. I'm just saying, I know this computer. So, okay. Anyway, let's see. PID tuning, we did that. Receiver, we kind of covered that. I don't have a battery connected, so nothing to see here. I don't really make any changes on the receiver tab other than just to make sure it works and I've got my right channel map. And if you're going to use, if you are going to use, that's a good one. If you're going to use, LQ link quality for Crossfire, you need to turn off the RSSI channel. Let's put it on disabled. And then modes, we talked about that a little bit. I only use acro, angle, GPS rescue, and the beeper mode. So my beeper mode switch is SG. When I turn that on, my beeper kicks on and it's activated with one shot. Okay, so that's it on modes. And then adjustments. Notice that I have this aux5. That is, that's from my common config, and this is the one that does my OSD profile selection, but since I'm flying digital, I'm just gonna leave that off. I don't really need that on a digital setup, so I leave that off. Nothing under servos, nothing under GPS. Of course, I don't have GPS now because I don't have a battery plugged in, and I don't get GPS signal here anyway. Then OSD. So this is gonna be the part, I looked at their setup on OSD and it looks okay. It's a little cluttery for me. I'll probably go in and change that, but there's no point in messing with this really until I have the goggles paired up. So we'll have to come back to the OSD. We'll fiddle with that in just a little while. I'll show you what's involved there, but that's it for the OSD. Nothing to see here until I get the goggles paired up. I think that's it. I think that's it on Betaflight. I don't really see anything else in here that we need to be worried about. So I'm just going to disconnect from Betaflight. And I'm going to hide the Betaflight window. And I'm going to hide this dev window, whatever that is. And I'm going to bring up the chat. And while I'm doing that, you guys, I'll look and see if there are any questions. And if not, I'm going to disconnect the quad from the computer. We don't need that connected right now. And it's time to do DJI. Time to do DJI stuff. So I'm going to turn the radio off, get that out of the way. And I'm going to turn off my soldering iron because I don't really think we're going to need that anymore. And it's time to get the goggles. Okay. Goggles. DJI, this is just a quick bind in case you've never seen it before and you're wondering how it works. It's a fairly simple process. The book just says basically you turn them both on, and when they're both up and running, you hit the bind button on the quad, and it does seem to matter. that you do actually have to hit the bind on the quad first. At least whenever I've done it first on the goggles, for some reason it hasn't worked. So you do hit the bind button. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to hide the chat so you guys can see. I want you to be able to see the screen, you know, and the stuff on the screen. Bill, thanks for joining, man. Understand you got to run, no worries. Video will be around for you later. So here we go. We've got the goggles, we've got the quad, and all we need now is a battery. And I'm going to turn on the quad. And then we will turn on the goggles. You guys want to laugh, man. You should have seen me the first time I powered on a DJI device with that stupid button. I was like a monkey with a football. It was terrible. Okay, so on the quad, we've got, let me see what's going on in the goggles. All right, goggles are booting up, but the quad, what we're going to do is just take a, they say not to use a sharp implement, so I just use a really fat paper clip and just push that button, and that should put it, the red light should come on. And that's in bind, that means it's in bind mode. And then once that's done, put the goggles in bind mode. And there you go. That's bound. It happens pretty fast. And you can see that when that green light comes on right there, that's bound. So let me just take a look inside the goggles to make sure we got that right. And the above device is not activated. Connect to DJI Assistant to activate and receive a complete product user experience, but it is bound. So we're going to press any button to exit, and it is bound. So that's enough of that. We're good on that one. I can turn off the goggles now because it's bound. So we're done with the goggles. We're done with that. And here I am being a monkey with a football again, turning these things off. You have to press once and then let go and then press and hold it. For some reason, I don't know what my deal is, but I have a worse time remembering that sequence. Okay, so it's bound. That part's done. Now we're going to activate it. So let me bring up a USB cable. I disconnected everything. I took all my cables off when we were having those Betaflight issues. So there we go. Okay, so we've got a USB-C that's going to get plugged into the quad here and the USB-C port, and I'm just going to fire up the DJI app, DJI, and I will share it so you guys can see what's going on with the DJI app. So can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Good. All right, let me stretch it out because we're just looking at DJI right now. DJI Assistant. Okay. There we go. All right. It's not really that important to see the quad for this process. It's more important to see this software. So what we're going to do, I've got the quad, you know, it's already bound. Now I'm just going to take the USB cable and connect it. We should get a bong on the computer, hopefully. Oh, it's, you know what? It might need power. Yeah, I think it does. All right, let's add power because I'm not hearing the bong. Yep, there we go. We got the bong. Bong, bong, bong. Now, once that happens, we should see the quad, the goggles or the air unit show up in the USB connection here, and that should let us activate. In theory. There we go. I thought, man, here we go again. All right, just a little patience. All right, FPV air unit, start activation. I'm going to confirm my account. Yes, great. Terms off. You know, this is one of those things that kind of bothers me about DJI. I really don't like that we have to go through all this nonsense with our goggles, man. No, I don't want to do a survey because your unit is sitting here overheating. All right, it wants to add 1.00.060. So yes, I do want to do that. I want that rate. So yes. Okay, so good. It says it's downloading. Now we have to go through the download process. Yeah, how about that, Pete? I tell you, man. These videos that we do, we edit. You know, we take all the stuff that, you know, when there's a hang up or a glitch, it all gets cut. That's why I like doing live stuff every now and then, because it's personable, right? You guys are seeing that I'm not a robot, you know? I mean, I can kind of work my way through things, but we're not robots. You know, things happen. The world's not perfect. So Anyway, there's the update, and looks like everything is going along swimmingly so far. Let's just hope we don't overheat. And I do not have a fan. Everyone's telling I got to get a fan. I got to get a USB fan because I've been monkeying around with all this stuff. Hey, you know what? Since I have since I have that little thing worked out, the DJI Out, I can show you guys the footage. We'll let it activate. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. I got to plug in the goggles, so we'll do that in just a minute. You plug in the goggles on a USB-C, and we can do a video out from the camera, from the goggles. Pretty cool. And they're working on it too. I understand there's an Android app now, and they've got some OSD information out. So there's that. Blow at it? No, man, I don't know. I don't know. That I think my wife might be a little shocked if she walked in and saw that. Me too. It's a nightmare again. Thanks for your life. yeah, you're welcome. The live DJI goggle vid, that was, you know, that was like I did the reading and I knew about the recovery process, but you know, I just did what any other guy would do, right? I just said, all right, let's follow the instructions. And I went through it. I did what they said to do, and that's what we were left with. So here's the part where I normally get hung up. It says transmitting, and a lot of times it gets so hot at this point that it hangs up somewhere along the line. But yeah, that whole temperature thing, like I love the power of these cameras and this VTX system, no doubt about it. But I mean, I kind of hope they can resolve that, because I really don't like the idea of feeling rushed when it comes to my VTX. You know, I like the idea of being able to just take my time. You know, I'll take off when I want to take off. I'll land when I want to land. I shouldn't have to worry about that. Okay. Avoid touching the air unit during updates as the temperature will increase. Update in a well-ventilated environment. It says, if it occurs, if a shutdown occurs, wait for it to cool and try it again. Yeah. So they need to rewrite their code so you can do all this download and transmitting stuff before you power up and connect. That's what they should say. Yeah, plug in so we know what firmware to get you, and then unplug, and we'll let you update it in a minute. Put it, yeah, Len, I've heard about that. My buddy Jay, he told me get a USB fan, and they seem to work. So I need to do that. I need to get a USB fan. Especially if I plan on fiddling around with these HD cameras more and more in the future, and I don't see it going away. And I sure don't think they're gonna. I mean, you know, I've got a number of them now, so I don't think, you know, that's not a problem that's gonna go away for me anytime soon. Yeah. But this is what it looks like, guys. This is what you go through. But you know, the real cool part is that when you're done, man, you really get some good footage. Boy, I'll tell you what. I mentioned in the last video I did, the Runcam versus DJI video. I said that every single time I fly with those DJI goggles, I just get, I'm blown away. It's literally breathtaking. Because it's just, you know, I've been flying on analog goggles for like 7 years, right? 7, maybe 8 years now. It's been a long time. And I'm so used to the analog view, and you get the HD footage afterwards. Oh, there's a bong, bong, bong. You get the HD footage afterwards, right? And that's fine. You know, it's fun. But while you're flying, man, I've been so used to looking at analog video for my whole time. A laptop cooler, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah. Anybody hungry, you can use it for a grilled cheese. Yeah, you're right. Probably fry an egg on the top of that thing. Listen to all that bonging going on. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's definitely bonging. Bong, bong, bong. Still going. 63. Okay, well, it's still moving, so I'm not going to fiddle with it. I'll leave it alone. Let it do its thing. Laptop cooler. Bits be riding. That's a cool nick. You're new, man. I haven't seen you before. Welcome to the channel. Anyway, the Flywood Mr. Croc. I'm curious to see how this one flies, because Drone Pilot, I don't know if Drone Pilot's still around. He mentioned that some of his dead cat configurations or flat X's, you know, some of those with the odd arm shapes, they get resonant harmonics, and he picks them up in his black box log and he tries to tune that stuff out, but he said it's kind of a pain. So computer fan plugged into lipo race. Yeah, it's definitely, you probably connect a computer to one of these terminals right here, maybe on the Crossfire. Hey, man. Oh, I was going to say a Crossfire is lit, but that's because there's a battery connected. No kidding. It's good that the Crossfire is lit when there's a battery connected. Can't believe I got those stupid wires backwards. That's annoying. All right. What's even more annoying is that I knew not to put the damn heat shrink on, and I did it anyway. Can you believe that? 89%. We're getting close. 90. Still getting the bong, bong, bongs. And this thing is disconnected and disconnected from the computer probably a dozen times. A dozen times by now, at least. At least. 95. Are you going to get stuck at 95? Come on. Come on. You can do it. It's going to get stuck at 95, isn't it? Pete says the Croc looks like a Christmas tree with all the LEDs. Yeah, it does have some LEDs. I haven't taken them out yet, but it definitely has some LEDs. All right. Here we go. 95%. What do you guys think? Is it going to finish or not finish? I think, and here's my prediction. My prediction is that it's going to get stuck here. And 95 always takes a long time, Hobie says. It's going to get stuck here. I'm going to let it sit for a while, and then I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in, and it's going to say it's good. It's at 1.0. whatever, 00.060. I don't have anything to cool it with. Blow. Nah, not going to do that. I can get a quad out. Aim a quad at it. I've made the switch to DJI, but they make it difficult, and experience in the air totally worth it. Yeah, that's the thing, Martin. I think you're on it, man. It's on the ground, it's a royal pain. Like, this is a pain in the neck. In DJI, I mean, this whole process is just a pain in the neck. Fortunately, the activation seems to work okay on the air units. That's not a big deal. Not like the goggles. The goggles were terrible. That activation process in the goggles got awful. But on the air units, it seems to be pretty good. And yeah, I think it's hung. I think it's going to need a reboot. That's what I think. Anyway, yep. I can guarantee you that's hung. I've seen this before, so I'm going to disconnect it. Disconnect. Disconnect. We're going to let that bomb out or do whatever it's going to do. Anyway, yeah, the whole process they have for upgrading and the whole heat management thing, all the ground-based stuff is just painful, but boy, I'll tell you, you're not wrong. Getting it up in the air and getting that video that you know that you get off these things, the SD card video, even the cameras. Their cameras are really good. Their cameras are solid. Yeah, well, it's got it. Yeah, I do too, and I live in Florida, Martin. So Martin says he's worried about the heat, and I'm totally on board with that because I live in Florida. Yeah, everything's stuck, man. This thing isn't doing anything. Oh well, the app's alive. Okay. That's kind of the last thing to do. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna let that cool down. While that's doing that, I'm gonna put the Crossfire away. I think that's okay. We've proven that now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that away, button that up. Let this thing cool off for a few minutes. So there we go. Another heat shrink. We'll just get that. I'll hide this app so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me just DJI Assist. There we go. Heat shrinks. Just gonna heat shrink the Crossfire again. Ooh, yeah, don't fall for that. You don't want it to fall. The whole point in this heat shrink is to keep that antenna on and protect the circuitry. But the main thing is that antenna, man. I want that antenna on there. I don't want any fooling around with that. All right, there we go. That will do the job. So that's done. I actually came prepared. Check this out. How's that for a bag of zip ties, huh? I found this on Amazon. It was only a few dollars too. really was not very expensive for these things. Of course, I haven't opened that one. That one's open. And I don't even know, man. I got, there's a big, this is 600, look at that. There you go. 660 pieces. And it was cheap. They were cheap. Ooh, there's a white one. Nah, I don't want white. I want black. The frame's black. They even threw in these little cable management things, some rubber bands, and I don't know. Anyway, I got so sick and tired of running out of zip ties, man. I can't tell you how many builds I've done. I've run out of freaking zip ties, or I've gone hunting for the little things, and I wind up going to the store and buying a little package because they're so expensive. Anyway. All right. I'm just going to use a little bit of, that's too big. Just a small little piece of double-sided tape. And if you guys, I don't know if you've ever checked out the Gorilla tape, the double-sided tape from the Gorilla Glue people. Their double-sided tape is pretty good. I like it. I've been using that for quite a while now, and it's pretty good. All right, so let's see. That's just got, yeah, I'm just going to, well, they actually went around the outside of the frame. That's what I'm going to do with the Crossfire. I'm just going to do the same thing with the Crossfire that they did with the Bluetooth module. So I'm just going to lay that in there, and keep in mind the bend, right? Watch the bend. You don't want to kink that. Don't let it turn into 90 degrees on you. It should have a nice arc, and then use your double-sided tape to kind of set it where you want it. And then once that's down, you just go ahead and feed your zip tie through. No problem. So yeah, I figure they got the Bluetooth over there on the right-hand side. We'll put this on the left-hand side. I'm like that, man. I like things to be balanced. There we go. Yeah, and by the way, don't wrench the devil out of this. Remember, the double-sided tape is doing most of the work, right? You're just using that to keep it on the double-sided tape, but it's not a great idea to wrench circuit boards real hard with zip ties, because you can bend them and they will desolder, man. You can have elements desolder. I've done it. So you don't need to wrench them real hard. Let the double-sided tape do the job. And you're just, the main objective I have with the zip tie is to hold that to the double-sided tape. That's it. I'm not trying to use it to hold it in place. So just snug. All right, that's all you need. All right, let's see how we're doing on comments. Obi's got to run. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and come over to Discord. Yeah, I agree. Use the wife's hairdryer and cool setting per air unit. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I can do that. All right, let's see. I think it's cooled off. It's cooled off. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the air unit software again. Thanks for joining us, Hobie. It was good hanging out with you. Thanks for joining the video. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the air unit software again. I'll pop that up so you guys can see it. There we go. That was easy. All right, and I will connect USB, and I will connect battery. There we go. Battery's connected, USB's connected. DJI app is up, and hopefully we'll get doing a lot of bong 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 right now. We'll see you, Hobie. We'll see you next week. Pilot Jam, I think, is the reference. Yeah. All right, come on, there we go. Air unit. Let's see what it says. I want to see if it's got the 10006. It does. It says that's the current firmware. See what I mean? I've seen that before, where it hangs on 95, but when you reboot it, this is what it shows you. I'm telling you, I've seen it before. Okay, well, with that done, let's go ahead and I'm just going to disconnect it. I'm going to disconnect it. I'm going to bring up the goggles. And I'm going to connect the USB. Yep, USB here. And I don't have my analog stuff running, so that's fine. And I'm going to run the goggles. So we're done with the app. I think we can kill that. We don't need that anymore. So we'll do that. Now I've got the camera. I've got the goggles right here. The goggles are plugged into my USB on my computer. So I'm going to turn the goggles on, and I want to make sure that I have video first. Obviously, need to do that. So let's just take a look inside the goggles, looking for video. Yep, I've got a battery connected. Yep, got a video feed. So with that done, I should be able to run my little app. Let me run that real quick. Let's see here. I still have that in my download folder, so I'm gonna go there and see if I can find DJI Video Out. Quad's beeping for inactivity. Apparently, is that what that is? Let's just plug it back in again. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna run this little batch file, and I should get video out. How about that? I do. I have video out. Let me share it with you guys so you can see it. So window capture and make a window here. And I don't know why the there we go. That's better. Let me just resize this so you guys can see it. This is all kind of on the fly stuff. And notice that it's in 4:3 mode, so that video is in 4:3 mode. Oh, I'll change that. I like 16:9 for this. For this one, I don't worry too much about resolution. But there you go. There's the video out. We've got it. Success. So we're bound. We've got video out. DJI is working. We've got our software update. Everything looks copacetic. So there you go. There are the goggles. It's all coming out from the goggles. Hey, guys. That's it. DJI is done. All right, I'm going to unplug it. Heat. Ugh. Okay, there's that. Oh, look, it freezes it for you. Cool. Oh, this is going to bomb something out, isn't it? All right, let's see. What else is left to do? I think, all right, the goal was we wanted to do the Crossfire install and setup. We did that. I wanted to do the OpenTx radio configuration setup. We did that. I wanted to do the Betaflight setup. We went through that, and we did the DJI thing. We did that. The only thing left to do, in my mind, on this, is to go ahead and, well, I'm going to unplug my goggles in the first place and shut those off. No point in running that battery down. Okay, so goggles are done. We'll just set those aside there. Okay, so all that's left to do is props and prop nuts, and this is ready to go. So there you go. I guess that's the end of it. I guess that's the end of it. We made it to the end, even with Betaflight trying to assassinate the live stream. And no, not Betaflight. It was Windows. That was Windows. That was not Betaflight's fault. There's something going on with the USB subsystem, and it was all due to Windows, not Betaflight. Cannot blame Betaflight for that. Oh, hey, one other thing I'll show you real quick. Yeah, here they are. They have these things called Ummagrip. And if you go out to Amazon and Google this stuff, I plan on flying. I don't have any big I have a 6L 5000. I don't have any other big 6L batteries or small, like 6L 3000s or 4000s. But I do have a bunch of 1550s coming in 6L. So my game plan is to run two 1550s in parallel. That's the game plan on this quad. So in order to do that, they did not give a second, unfortunately, foam rubber piece here. So I need to put another one up here because I expect to have a battery here and here. That's what I expect to have happen going on. So this stuff, Ummagrip, it's pretty good. And this isn't actually the brand name part. This is a off-brand, but it's 3M on the bottom, and all it is just this little rubber pad that helps you, oh crap, that helps you keep your battery from sliding around when you put it on a carbon tray. So I just wanted to trim it a little bit so it wasn't hanging off the edge, and I'm going to take a little off the top, and I'm going to mount this on the quad. And again, the whole point in this is to give that battery something to hold on to. So it's really good stuff. You can get a bag of it. I don't remember what I paid. It wasn't much. It was like I want to say $10 or $11. And I got a pretty good sized bag of it. I don't think there's a brand name on it. I'll look. Oh, here you go. There you go. There's the label. It says Max Moral 10-piece Silticopter, whatever that means. But I got it on Amazon, and like I said, it's got a nice rubbery texture. So now when I put this battery on there and use the strap, that's not going anywhere. That's on there firm. So just wanted to share that with you guys, because they didn't give a lot of these quads. They give you a couple of pieces that you can put on there. This one they didn't. So that one, that little Ummagrip or rubber pad is good to help that battery and keep it from sliding off. So there you go. That's it. I don't see any questions. Hobie says, thanks, John. See you next week. And Pete says, I'm a lefty too. It's frustrating sometimes in the right-hand world. Yeah, man, it is. I've been a lefty. Yeah, right. It's always something as a lefty, right? Screwdrivers go the wrong way. Scissors go the wrong way. Screwdrivers, scissors, screws go the wrong way. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, I think that's it. I think we've gotten to the bottom of it. I don't see any other questions. I don't see any other things that I need to handle. So I think we're okay. We're okay to call this a session. So obviously the next thing will be the maiden, right? You guys can count on that coming up as soon as I can. As I say in the UK, cheers, mate. Appreciate your time. Good night and God bless. Thanks, Martin, for joining. Appreciate you sticking with. You were here the whole time, right? Thank you. Appreciate that. But so look for the maiden. That'll come up next, and you know, we'll go fly this thing and see how it works. We'll get that air unit set up and running with an SD card, and go get some more awesome in-flight footage with that beautiful 1080p digital system. Pete, I appreciate you. Thanks. Glad you guys stuck around. I know it didn't go as smooth as we like it to go, but hey, you know, we got through it in the end, right? All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining me. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.